I am your fiancé. You look at him like you never looked at me.
Because my father chose you, and I chose him.
Do not scroll. The most interesting part is ahead. Subscribe, give it a like, and leave a comment. Eliza stood by the window, looking at the line of trees beyond the field. The sun had already set, but she did not light a candle. It was easier to think, in the dark, about things one could not say out loud. Eliza, her mother's sharp voice cut through the hush. Why are you daydreaming again? She turned. Her mother stood in the doorway with a lamp in her hands, her face stern. Forgive me, mother. I was just nothing. Your father is waiting for supper. Call your brothers. Eliza stepped onto the porch. 3 brothers were fixing the fence beside the barn. They worked slowly, steadily, the way everything was done in their community. No rushing, no questions about what tomorrow would bring. But tomorrow arrived sooner than they expected. In the morning, a gray car rolled up to their farm. That was rare. English outsiders usually did not drive this far from the road. Father came out onto the porch, his brows drawn together. Eliza stood behind him, feeling her heart beat faster. A man in a suit climbed from the car. He smiled, but the smile was wrong, too broad, too sure of itself. Good morning. I represent Lancaster County. Are you Mr. Miller? Father nodded. He did not offer his hand. We are here about the new road. You may have heard. It is planned to cut through your fields right there. The man gestured toward the southeast, where their best land began. We are not selling, Father said shortly. I understand your concern, but we are not selling, Father repeated, and turned toward the door. The man in the suit said something else, but Father had already closed the door. Eliza felt the air change. That was how trouble began. That same evening, Father convened a gathering of the elders. Eliza had no right to be present, but she heard their voices through the open window. They spoke in the German they used among themselves. They will not stop, said Grandfather Yoder. The authorities always take what they want. Then we will go to court, suggested the young Aaron Stoltzfus. We do not sue, Eliza's father cut him off sharply. That is not our way. Then what way? Aaron's voice trembled. Let them take our fields. Silence. We will pray, the oldest elder said at last. The Lord will show us. Eliza moved away from the window. Prayer, always prayer. But what if the Lord wanted them to act? The next day, the town was shaken by news. Posters appeared on the main square. An Amish sect blocks progress. Who will pay for their past? Eliza saw them when she went to market to sell vegetables. People looked at her differently, with irritation, with contempt. Why will you not be normal? A woman at a stall threw at her. Eliza did not answer. She never answered. Yet that night, lying in bed, she whispered into the dark, what if they are right? What if we are the strange ones? 1,000 miles away, in the newsroom of a Philadelphia paper, a young reporter named Daniel arrived on Thursday evening. He checked into a motel on the edge of town and could not sleep all night. Someone next door watched television at full volume, and the words of his editor looped in his head. Make them human or make them monsters. I need a story that sells. In the morning, he drove out to the community. The road wound between fields where there was not a single electric pole. Only trees, fences, distant houses without wires. It was as if time had stopped here sometime in the 19th century. He pulled over at the first farm. A man in a straw hat was plowing with horses. Daniel got out, feeling out of place in his jeans and t-shirt. Excuse me. The man did not look back. Excuse me, sir. I am a reporter. I would like to talk about the road. The man halted the horses and turned. His face was hard. Leave. I only want to hear your side. We have no side. Leave. Daniel tried at 2 more farms. The result was the same. No one wanted to talk. No one even held his gaze for more than a second. He was about to turn back when he saw a girl on a wagon. She drove slowly, holding the reins. She wore a long blue dress, a white bonnet. Her face was unpainted, but beautiful, a kind of beauty you did not meet in the city. Daniel honked gently. The girl stopped the wagon and turned. "Forgive me," he said, stepping closer. "I know you do not wish to talk to me, but I am not like other reporters. I want to tell the truth." The girl regarded him for a long moment, studying him. Then she said, "Truth depends on who is telling it." Her English was correct, but carried a slight accent. "Then tell yours," Daniel said softly. "Please." She paused. Then, "Follow me, but leave your car by the road." That was how Daniel first stepped into the world of the Amish. Eliza led him to her family's farm. Father was not home. He had gone to a meeting in a neighboring county. Mother stood by the stove, cooking the noon meal. Seeing a stranger, she froze. "Mother, this is a reporter. He wants to understand us." "We do not talk to the press," Mother said, her voice no louder, but every word firm. "Then they will write about us in whatever way suits them," Eliza said quietly. Mother turned sharply. A silent exchange passed between them, looks, tension, something unspoken. At last, Mother left the kitchen. "We have 15 minutes, Eliza said. "Ask." Daniel took out a voice recorder, but Eliza shook her head. "No recordings, only conversation." He put the recorder away and sat at the table. Eliza poured him water from a clay pitcher. "Why will you not sell the land?" he began. "It is not just land. It is our life. Our forebears bought these fields 200 years ago. My grandfather is buried here. My father was born here. If we lose it, we lose who we are." "But the town is growing. People need roads, jobs, and we need quiet," Eliza interrupted. "Have you ever lived without electricity, without a telephone, without television?" "No. You do not know how pure quiet can be. You do not know what it is to wake and hear only birds. Not horns, not news, not other people's voices. Only God." Daniel kept silent. Her words settled on him, heavy as a stone. "But you are not against all progress," he said at last. "You use some tools. We are not against progress. We are against letting it rule us. Everything you admit into your world takes a part of you. A telephone, and you stop visiting in person. A car, and you stop knowing your neighbors. A television, and you stop talking to your family. We chose otherwise." "And you have never regretted it?" Daniel asked quietly. Eliza did not answer at once. She looked out the window, at the fields, at the horizon. "Every day," she whispered at last, "and not once." Mother appeared in the doorway. "Time is up." Daniel stood. Eliza walked him to the door. On the porch, he turned back. "Thank you. Truly." "Write the truth," she said. "Not about us. About you. About why you are so afraid of quiet." He drove away, but her words stayed with him. And that evening, sitting in the motel with his laptop, Daniel knew he would not be able to write what his editor wanted, because she was right. Daniel returned 2 days later. This time he left his car far away and came on foot. Eliza was working in the garden, gathering tomatoes. She saw him from afar and stilled. "You are here again. I wrote an article. I want you to read it before it is published." Eliza wiped her hands on her apron and came closer. He handed her printed pages. She read slowly, shaping the difficult words with her lips. When she finished, her eyes were wet. This is how I feel, but I could never say it." "Then I understood you correctly?" She nodded. Then she asked, suddenly, "And you? What do you feel?" Daniel had not expected the question. He looked at her, at the face without makeup, the plain clothes, the hands calloused from work, and he realized he had never seen anyone more real. "I feel that my world is empty," he said quietly. "Full of things, but empty." "Then why do you not change it?" "Because I do not know how." Eliza was silent, then said, "Stay for a week. I will show you." "Your parents will not allow it." "Then we will meet in secret." Those were dangerous words. They both knew it, but neither stepped back. They agreed to meet in the evenings, When the day's work on the farm was done, Eliza would tell her parents she was visiting a friend and instead meet Daniel by the old barn at the edge of the fields. The first evening, they simply talked. Daniel told her about the city skyscrapers, the subway, concerts. Eliza listened, eyes wide. "Are you never afraid," she asked, "to live among so many people?" "Sometimes. But loneliness in a crowd is different. You are surrounded, and you know no one. Our loneliness is different. You know everyone, and you cannot choose anyone." On the second evening, he brought her a camera, not to take pictures, just to show. "See this button. You press it, and a moment stays forever." "But God forbids images," Eliza said. Yet she took the camera. She looked through the viewfinder, turning slowly. "What do you see?" Daniel asked. "A world that will never change, and that is both beautiful and frightening." She did not press the button. She simply handed the camera back. The third evening was different. Rain began, and they sheltered in the barn. The smell of hay, the dark, the patter on the roof. Eliza sat on a pile of hay, Daniel beside her. Between them was 10 centimeters, about 4 inches, and a whole world. "Tell me about your family," she said. "There is not much to tell. My parents divorced when I was 12. My mother went to California. My father married again. I grew up alone." "That is terrible." "It is ordinary. Where I am from, it happens often. With us, it never does. Marriage is forever. Even if you do not love." Eliza was quiet. "Even then, love is not a feeling. It is a decision." "Have you decided?" Daniel asked softly. She turned to him. In the darkness, her eyes looked black. "My father wants me to marry Aaron Stoltzfus. He is 26, a good farm, a good family." "Do you love him?" "I barely know him. Perhaps we have spoken 5 times in our lives." "And will you agree?" Silence. The rain grew heavier. Thunder rolled far away. "I do not know," Eliza whispered. "I knew before. Now I do not." Daniel reached out and touched her palm. She flinched, but did not pull away. They sat that way for a long time, holding hands in the dark, listening to the rain. "This is wrong," Eliza said at last. "I know. My father will kill me if he finds out." "Then he will not find out." She laughed through tears. "You do not understand. Here everyone sees. Here no one has secrets." But they already had one, and it grew with every evening. On the 4th evening, he kissed her. They stood at the edge of the field, stars overhead, and suddenly the distance between them was gone. Her lips were warm, a little salty with tears. She kissed clumsily, tensely, but when he drew back, she pulled him close again. "Again," she whispered, "please." On the 5th evening, they did not talk. They simply sat side by side, her head on his shoulder, his arm around her waist. It was more dangerous than words. The 6th evening, Saturday, Eliza did not come. Daniel waited an hour, then 2. At last, he saw a lantern, but it was not Eliza. It was her younger brother, Jacob, a 13-year-old boy with a severe face. "Eliza cannot come. Father is watching her." "Does he know?" "He suspects. Someone saw you by the barn." "Lord, leave," Jacob said softly. "Leave before it is too late. She is a good person. Do not ruin her life." The boy turned and went. Daniel stood in the dark, feeling everything come apart. But he did not leave. Sunday began with alarm. Eliza woke to voices. Father was shouting a rarity for him, a restrained man. She threw on a robe and ran downstairs. The elders stood in the kitchen, faces stern, arms crossed. By the window, Father, red with anger. "What happened?" Eliza asked. "The equipment was burned," Grandfather Yoder said curtly. 3 bulldozers at the future road, in the night." Eliza's heart stopped. And they blame us," Aaron Stoltzfus burst out, coming into the kitchen. "The police will come today. They say we did it." "That is madness. We would never." "They do not believe it," Father said, turning to her. His look was heavy. They think we are fanatics, that we will do anything. Eliza felt the room sway. She knew what would come next. The town would be outraged. The press would inflate a scandal. Everything Daniel had spoken of, all the fears, all the prejudice, would now crawl into the open. "We need to call the reporters," she said suddenly. Everyone turned. "What?" Father's voice was dangerously quiet. "We need to tell our side, before it is too late. Otherwise, they will write what suits them." "We do not speak to the press," the oldest elder said. "That is our rule." "Then that rule will destroy us," Eliza answered, and there was something new in her voice: strength, resolve. "Silence no longer works. The world has changed." Father studied her for a long moment. Then he nodded to the elders. "We will vote." The voting lasted an hour. Eliza had no right to be there. Women did not decide such matters. She sat on the porch, wringing her hands, praying. At last the door opened. "You may call one reporter," Father said. Eliza ran to the neighbors, where there was a telephone for emergencies. Daniel picked up after the second ring. "Eliza, come, now." He arrived in 20 minutes. Eliza met him at the gate and quickly told him about the fire. Daniel listened, jaw tight. "It is a setup," he said. "Someone wants to frame you." "Can you prove it?" "I will try." He started with the police. Officially, they told him nothing, but a young cop Daniel had known in college whispered, "There is a witness. Says he saw people in black near the equipment at 3 in the morning." "Someone from the community?" He did not recognize them, but they all looked the same, right? Daniel clenched his teeth. Then he drove to the site of the fire. Burned out bulldozers, the smell of smoke. He filmed with his phone, and then he saw something odd: tire tracks. Wide, deep. Not from a wagon, from a truck. "The Amish do not drive trucks," he said to himself. He photographed the tracks, then drove to the nearest gas station. There was a security camera. The owner, old and indifferent, let him view the recording for $20. There it was at 2:15, a black truck with no plates, a man in dark clothes at the wheel. The face could not be seen, but he was not Amish. He wore a baseball cap. Daniel copied the footage and rushed back to the community. Eliza was waiting on the porch. Seeing his face, she understood there was something important. "It was not you," he said, showing her the video. "Someone faked it to blame your community." But who? Daniel did not know, but he had a hunch. That evening, he went to a local bar where farmers from the county gathered. Over a mug of beer, he listened, and he heard a name: Charles Weimer, a farmer who had sold his land for the road for a great deal of money. But the neighbors would not sell, and the value of his land was falling. He said he would force those Amish to give in, a drunken man said they were ruining things for the locals. Daniel drove to Weimer's place. He lived on the outskirts in a run-down house. When Daniel knocked, no one answered, but a black truck stood by the garage. Soot speckles marked the hood. Daniel photographed everything he could and went to the police. But there he was told, "That is not evidence. You need more." "I have video, photos, a witness." "There is no witness. There are hunches. Sorry, but we work with facts." Daniel stepped outside, furious. He knew the police did not want to investigate the Amish made perfect culprits. Quiet, strange, defenseless. He returned to the community at night. Eliza waited by the old barn, their secret place. "What do you say?" Her voice shook. "I know who did it, but the police will not listen." "Then what shall we do?" Daniel looked at her, at the face that had become the dearest to him, and he understood that it was time to choose. "I will write an article. I will publish everything I know. It will destroy my career. The editor wants scandal, not truth, but I will do it." "Why?" He touched her cheek. "Because for the first time in my life, something matters more than my career." Eliza caught his hand and pressed it to her face. "You are mad." "I know." They kissed for a long time, desperately, as if it were the last time. The article came out on Wednesday. Daniel did not send it to his editor, but to a competing outlet, an independent online publication that specialized in investigations. The title was simple: Who Burned the Truth? In it, he laid out everything tire tracks to Weimer's black truck, contradictions in testimony, the way the police had hurried to blame the Amish. He did not call the community saints, he called them people. People who were easy to blame because they were different. The piece spread across the internet within a few hours. By evening, it had been reposted 20,000 times. The next morning, the police were forced to open an investigation into Weimer. Daniel expected relief. Instead, he got a call from his editor. "You are fired," the man said without a greeting. "Collect your things by day's end." "For what?" "I wrote the truth." "You wrote it for competitors. You broke your contract. And you made us look like fools. We already printed a piece about Amish terrorists." The line went dead. Daniel stood in the middle of the motel room, holding his phone. He had just lost his job. 5 years of a career thrown away in a single day. But when he thought of Eliza, of her face as she read his first article, he knew he did not regret it. Not at all. He drove to the community. Father met him at the gate. The face was stern, but in the eyes was something else, not anger, not gratitude, respect. "Thank you," he said simply. "Do not thank me. I merely told the truth. Truth can be costly." "I know." Father was quiet, then said, "Eliza is in the garden. You may talk, but not long." It was permission, official, visible. Daniel walked to the garden. Eliza was picking beans, but when she saw him, she dropped the basket and ran. They stopped a step from one another in full view of the whole farm. "I read it," she whispered. "You lost your job." "Yes, because of me. Because of myself. I made a choice." Tears rolled down her cheeks. "This is wrong. You should not have." "Eliza," he said, touching her hand, forgetting caution. "For the first time in my life, I did something right." She looked at him, and in her eyes was all the pain in the world. "But what now? You will go. I will stay. And it will end." "Not necessarily. You do not understand. I cannot go with you. If I go, I will be shunned. Forever. I will never again speak to my family. My brothers will not even look at me. My parents, they will mourn me as dead." "What if I stay?" She flinched. "What?" "What if I stay here? Become one of you?" "You are mad. You will not manage it. No electricity, no internet, no." "Nothing that holds me there," he said quietly. "Eliza, in the last week I have felt more than in all my life. I do not want to return to an empty world." She shook her head, stepping back. "No, that is a romantic fantasy. In a month you will be tired. In 2 you will hate this life and me." "How do you know?" "Because sometimes I hate it myself," she cried, the words bursting like birds. "Do you think it is easy to live by rules written 200 years ago, to have no choice, to marry the man your parents pick? It is a prison, Daniel, a beautiful, quiet, holy prison." He did not know what to say. They stood among the garden rows, and the space between them grew wider. "Then come with me," he said at last. "I cannot." "Why?" "Because, despite everything, I love this place. I love my family. I love the quiet among the fields, and I cannot betray who I am. Not even for love." Eliza went still. The word had been spoken. It hung between them, heavy and inescapable. "Especially for love," she whispered. "Because if I go, you will get me broken, a person who has lost everything, and you will discover you loved not me, but the idea of me." Daniel felt something tear inside. She was right. He knew she was right, but that did not make it easier. "Then what shall we do?" Eliza wiped her tears. Remember that there was a week when we saw each other as we truly are. That is enough." "It is not enough for me." "It is not enough for me either," she smiled through tears, "but the world does not ask what we want." That evening, the community held a meeting. Weimer was arrested. His truck had been found with physical evidence. The authorities were forced to reconsider the road project. The Amish were no longer accused. Everyone rejoiced. But Eliza stood apart, looking at the stars. Daniel came to her one last time. "I will leave tomorrow," he said. "I know. But I will come back, when you are ready, or simply to visit, as a friend." She smiled sadly. "The Amish do not befriend the English. Then I will be a special case." She turned to him, touched his face. "You already are special," she whispered. "To me." They kissed one last time, gently, tenderly, like a farewell. Then Eliza walked home without looking back. Daniel watched her until she disappeared into the dark. He left early in the morning without saying goodbye. The farewell had been yesterday. Today, he simply got into the car and drove, not looking in the rearview mirror. The drive to Philadelphia took 2 hours. 2 hours to return from the world of quiet to the world of noise. When he entered the city, the blare of horns and sirens felt aggressive, alien, as if he had come not home, but into exile. His apartment greeted him with emptiness. Unwatered plants on the sill, dirty dishes, boxes still unpacked. A life that had been on pause while he was gone. He dropped his bag and fell onto the couch. He turned on the television, something about politics, a scandal, another star. He turned it off. The silence felt worse than the noise. The phone rang. An unfamiliar number. Daniel Harper. "Yes. This is Robert Chase with the New York Observer. We read your piece about the Amish. Impressive work. Are you available?" Daniel blinked. "I just lost my job." "We know. That is why we are calling. We need someone who writes the truth, not only what sells. Are you interested?" He should have been glad. The New York Observer meant a big name, a generous salary, broad possibilities. But all he could think about was Eliza's face when she said, "especially for love." "Give me a week," he said. "A week is a long time in our business. A week or never." A pause. Then, "All right, a week, but no more." Daniel hung up and stared at the ceiling. He did not know why he had asked for a week. He did not know what he would do. He knew only one thing: he could not leave it all as it was. That evening, he wrote Eliza a letter. "Eliza, I am not asking you to go with me. I am not asking you to change your life. I am asking only one thing: give me a month. A month to prove that I can live in your world. If it does not work, I will leave and never return. But if it does, perhaps you will see that we can be together. I know this is madness, but you changed me, and now I cannot return to who I was. Daniel." He mailed the letter the next day. Then he waited. 3 days. 4. Silence. He had decided she would not answer when, on Friday, the post office handed him an envelope. The handwriting was unfamiliar, neat. Inside was a short note. "Daniel, you do not know what our life is. You saw only the surface. If you come, you face work from dawn to dusk. No days off, no entertainments, nothing you are used to. But if you truly wish to try, come on Monday. Father has given permission. You will work on our farm. A month. After that, we shall see. I promise nothing. Expect nothing. This is only a chance to see the truth. Eliza." Postscript. "Leave your phone behind. It does not belong here." Daniel read the note 3 times. Then he looked around his apartment, the television, the laptop, the smartphone, his whole life of cords and screens. A month without it. A month in a world where time is measured by the sun and not by the clock. He called Robert Chase. "I need 2 months," he said. "Is this a joke?" "It is the condition. 2 months or find someone else." A long pause. "You have a girl there, do you not?" Daniel did not answer. "Good Lord," Chase laughed. "Fine. 2 months. But if you do not show after that, the offer disappears." "Understood." On Sunday, Daniel packed. The minimum: jeans, shirts, work boots. He left the laptop. The phone too. He took only an old film camera, mechanical, not digital, as a keepsake from the world he was leaving. That evening his mother called. They had not spoken for half a year. "Daniel, is that you?" "Hi, Mom. I read your article. About those, what are they, the Amish?" "Yes." "Is it true? You lost your job?" "True." A pause. "But why? For what?" He thought of Eliza, of her words, of the quiet among the fields. "For something real," he said. Mother did not understand. He did not expect her to. On Monday morning, he arrived at the community. Eliza's father met him at the gate. He offered his hand for the first time. "The rules are simple," he said. "You work as we work. You eat as we eat. You live as we live. No exceptions. No complaints. If you cannot manage, you leave without resentment." "I understand." "Good. Come. Work waits." Eliza stood by the house. She did not come over, did not wave. She only watched. But in her eyes there was something new hope. Frightening, fragile hope. Daniel nodded to her from a distance. Then he followed father to the barn. The first day nearly became the last. Daniel woke at 4 in the morning to hands shaking his shoulder. Jacob, Eliza's younger brother. "Up. The cows are waiting." Daniel rose from the hay where he slept. Father had refused to give him a room until he proved himself worthy. His whole body ached from the unfamiliar bed. Outside the window, it was still night. "It is still dark," he muttered. "For us, it is day," Jacob said, and left. Daniel threw on a jacket and hurried after him. In the barn, father had already milked 2 cows. He nodded toward a third. "Do you know how?" "No." "Then learn." The next 2 hours were an ordeal. When he finished at last, the sun had risen. Father looked into the pail. "Poorly. But for the first time, it will do. Now breakfast. Quickly, then the field." He worked 5 hours without a break. His back went numb, his hands blistered, the sun beat down until his head swam. Eliza's brothers worked beside him, fast and rhythmic like machines. Daniel barely kept up. The noon meal was brief, again in silence. Then father said, "Now the fence. We need to mend the western line." The day lasted an eternity. When evening finally came, Daniel fell onto the hay and slept in his clothes without undressing. The second day was even harder. The third harder still. His body did not get used to it. It simply endured. Every muscle burned, every bone ached. Daniel did not complain. He knew a single complaint would be enough to send him away. But on the 4th evening, when he was too exhausted even to sleep, Eliza came to the barn. She brought a salve. "For your hands," she said softly, "so the blisters do not bleed." He held out his palms. She rubbed the ointment in gently, carefully. They did not talk, but the quiet held more words than any conversation. "You are holding up," she said at last. "Barely." "Father says you work well, for an Englishman." Daniel laughed through the pain. "For an Englishman. Is that a compliment?" From him, yes. She closed the little jar, but did not leave. She simply sat beside him, their shoulders touching. "Why are you doing this?" she asked quietly. "Truly, why?" "Because I love you." The words rose so simply, so naturally, that he surprised himself. Eliza froze. "You do not know what love is," she whispered. "Not our kind of love. With us, it is not a feeling. It is a decision. I know. You already said." "And have you decided?" "On that night in the rain, when we held hands, that was when I decided." Eliza turned to him. In the darkness, her eyes shone. "But I have not decided yet." "I know." "Then why?" "Because sometimes love means waiting. Waiting until the other person arrives at the same place." She touched his face, ran her fingers over the stubble he had not shaved for a week, following Amish ways. "You are changing," she whispered. "I know. I am afraid you are changing too much. I fear you will lose yourself." and I fear that if I do not change, I will lose you." They kissed slowly, carefully, as if a single sudden move could ruin everything. Then Eliza drew back. "I must go, if Mother finds out. Go." She walked to the door, then turned back in the doorway. "Daniel?" "Yes?" "I'm afraid, too. Just not as much as before." Week 2 was easier. Not physically, the body still hurt, but something had shifted inside. Daniel began to understand the rhythm of the community's life. Wake before dawn, work until dusk, eat plain food, sleep like a rock. Eliza's brothers started talking to him. At first rarely, in one-word answers. Then for longer. Jacob told him he wanted to become a carpenter. Samuel, the older brother, confessed he was tired of farm life, but didn't know how to tell their father. "Is it the same where you're from?" he asked Daniel. "In your world, do parents decide for their children?" "Sometimes, but we can refuse." "And then?" "Then you live on your own." Samuel thought about that. "I don't know which is scarier, living a life that isn't yours or living alone." Daniel didn't know the answer either. Week 3. The community held a gathering. Every family came to the biggest house for a shared meal. Daniel expected not to be invited, but Father said, short and to the point, "You're coming with us." The house was cramped, noisy, full of life. Children ran between the adults. Women cooked in a huge kitchen. Men talked about the harvest, the weather, and God's will. Daniel sat off to the side, feeling like an outsider. Then one of the elders came over to him. "You're the Englishman who wrote the truth," he said. "Among the Amish, English means anyone who isn't Amish." "Yes, sir." "Why?" The question was simple but heavy. "Because the truth matters more than money." The elder studied him for a long moment, then nodded. "You understand more than it seems. Maybe you aren't as English as the others." It felt like a blessing. Daniel knew it. After the meal, the children gathered around him to ask about the city. He spoke carefully, without exaggeration or romantic gloss. He told them about dark streets, about being lonely in a crowd, about people who live side by side for years without knowing each other's names. "You have it better here," he said at the end. The children didn't believe him, but the adults listened, and in their eyes Daniel saw something new, not suspicion, but interest. That evening, as everyone was leaving, Eliza came up to him. "Father wants to talk to you." Daniel's heart stumbled. "Bad news?" "I don't know. Just go." Her father was waiting by the barn, smoking a pipe, a rarity for him. "Sit," he said, pointing to the step. Daniel sat. Father stayed silent for a long time, looking out at the fields. "You work well," he said at last. "Better than I expected." "Thank you." "But working isn't enough. You have to understand. Do you understand why we live this way?" Daniel thought. "Because you believe simplicity brings you closer to God." "No, not only that. We live this way because the world out there," he pointed toward the road, "breaks people. Makes them lonely, greedy, hollow. We've seen it. Our children who left, they come back broken. We aren't protecting belief. We're protecting what makes us human. You can't protect them forever. The world changes." "I know," Father said, drawing on his pipe. "And that frightens me. So when Eliza said she wanted to..." He didn't finish, but Daniel understood. "She hasn't said anything," Daniel blurted. "It was me. Don't lie. I see how she looks at you. I saw it from day one." Silence. "I don't want her to leave," Father said quietly. "But if she does, I want to know she'll be with a man who understands what's being lost." "I do understand." "Do you?" Father turned to him, pain in his eyes. "Do you understand she'll lose her family? That her brothers won't be allowed to speak to her? That I won't be able to hold her when she cries? Do you understand you'll be taking her whole world away?" Daniel didn't know what to say, because Father was right. "I don't want her to go," he said at last. "I want to stay here, with her, in your world." Father laughed bitterly. "Impossible. You weren't born Amish. You can't become one. Why not? Because you have to believe, not just work, not just live, believe, and you don't. Again, the truth. Daniel didn't believe, not in the Amish God, not in their rules. He believed in Eliza, but that wasn't enough. So what should I do? He asked softly. Father stood. Leave before it's too late, before you ruin her life for good. He walked back toward the house, leaving Daniel alone under the night sky with a question that had no answer. Daniel didn't sleep. He lay on the hay, staring into the dark, thinking about Father's words, about the fact that he could not become Amish, about the fact that he was taking Eliza's whole world from her. Maybe Father was right. Maybe the best thing Daniel could do was leave. Now, before it was too late. The barn door opened softly. Eliza, she was holding a candle. Its light trembled over her face. "You're not asleep," she said quietly. "I can't." She closed the door and set the candle on the floor, sat beside him. "Father talked to you, didn't he?" "Yes. He told you I should go. He told me you cannot stay." They sat in silence. The candle burned, throwing long shadows. "He's right," Eliza said at last. "You can't become one of us." "I know. But I can't stay here either, not after seeing something else." Daniel turned sharply to her. "What are you saying?" Eliza watched the candle. Her face was calm, but her hands were shaking. "I've thought about it every night, the whole month. You came and showed me the world is bigger than I believed. That life can be different, and now I can't just forget." "Eliza," your father said. "I know what he said. He's right. If I leave, I lose everything. But if I stay, I lose myself." She turned to him, and in her eyes was a resolve he had never seen. "I want to leave with you." Daniel felt the world flip. "No, no, you don't understand." "I do," she cut in. "I understand better than you. You saw my world for a month. I've lived in it for 19 years. I know what I'm giving up." "Then why?" She took his hand and pressed it to her lips. "Because for the first time in my life, I feel like I'm living, not just existing." They looked at each other for a long time. The candle was burning down. Daniel touched her face. "If we do this, there's no going back." "I know. Your family. I know," her voice trembled. "But if I don't try now, I'll regret it for the rest of my life. I'll marry Aaron. I'll have children. I'll live by the rules, and every night I'll remember what might have been." Daniel pulled her into his arms. She leaned into him, and he felt her crying silently. "When?" he asked softly. "Tomorrow, in the night, when everyone's asleep." "Are you sure?" Instead of answering, she kissed him long, deep, desperate, as if she wanted to stop time. When they finally pulled apart, both were breathing hard. Eliza touched his lips with her fingers. "Show me," she whispered. "What?" "How people make love in your world, not the way I was taught, the way you want." Daniel went still. He understood what she was asking for the last night before they ran. The last night she was still Eliza Miller, an Amish girl, and not someone else. "We don't have to," he said hoarsely. "I know, but I want to. I want at least one thing to be my choice. Not the rules. Not my parents. Mine." He kissed her again, slowly. His hands slid to her shoulders, then lower to her back. She shivered at his touch, but didn't pull away. Her fingers caught in his shirt, holding on tight, as if she were afraid he might disappear. "You can stop me anytime," he whispered in her ear. "I don't want to stop." He untied the ribbons of her bonnet. Her hair fell over her shoulders, long, dark, beautiful. He had never seen it loose. In the community, women always kept their hair covered. "You're beautiful," he whispered. Eliza hid her face against his shoulder. "You're not used to seeing me like this." "I'll get used to it." They lay down in the hay, side by side, face to face. Daniel stroked her hair, her face, her neck. Eliza trembled, but not from cold. From something else, fear, desire, the unknown. "I've never," she whispered. I've never touched anyone like this. Daniel, I'm here. I'm with you. The candle went out. Time stopped existing. There was only her skin under his fingers, her quiet sighs, her hands holding him tight. They didn't cross the final line. He wouldn't allow it, knowing it would be too much, knowing she would regret it. But what they shared was more intimate. It was trust, a full, absolute giving of themselves to each other. When they finally fell asleep, tangled in each other's arms, the first light of dawn was slipping through the cracks in the wall. Daniel woke first. Eliza slept on his shoulder, her breath even. He looked at her and thought, here she is, the woman he was willing to change everything for, the woman willing to lose everything for him. It terrified him to the bone. Eliza opened her eyes. For a moment she looked lost, then she remembered. A smile touched her lips. Morning. Yeah. Yeah. She hid her face against his chest. I don't regret it. Me neither. They lay there a few more minutes, knowing that once they got up, everything would change. The day would begin work, family, ordinary life, and in the night escape. At last Eliza sat up. She began to dress quickly, with trembling hands. Daniel helped her tie ribbons, fasten buttons. When she again looked as she always did a modest Amish girl, he felt a strange sense of loss. Today, act like always, she said quietly. Work, eat, don't draw attention. At 1 in the morning, meet me here. Bring only what you truly need. And you? Me too. Nothing extra. A new life starts with empty hands. She kissed him quickly and left the barn. Daniel watched her go, a tightness in his chest. The day dragged endlessly. Daniel worked on autopilot, his thoughts far away. He planned the route where they would go, where they would stop the first night, how he would explain everything to Eliza. She had never lived in a city. She didn't know how to use an ATM, didn't understand how the subway worked. He would have to teach her everything. Lunch passed in silence. Eliza served food as always, but their eyes didn't meet. Her mother suspected something. She watched her daughter closely, studying her. After lunch, father sent Daniel to fix a fence in the north field, far from the house. Daniel worked fast, wanting to finish before evening. But on his way back, he saw a gathering by the house. All the elders, Eliza's whole family, and Aaron Stoltzfus. Daniel's heart stumbled. He quickened his pace. What's going on? Father turned to him, his face stone. Aaron is asking for Eliza's hand. Today. What? He wants to marry in a week. Says he's waited long enough. Daniel looked at Aaron. He stood proud, confident, a young man in his prime, a successful farmer, the perfect husband for an Amish girl. And Eliza, does she agree? Father didn't answer. Daniel pushed into the house. Eliza stood by the window, her back to everyone, her shoulders tense. Eliza. She didn't turn. Tell them no, Daniel said softly. I can't. Why? Because if I say it now, they'll know. They'll figure us out, and they won't let me go. She turned. Her eyes were dry but full of pain. I said yes. The ground shifted under Daniel. What? I said I would marry Aaron in a week. It's the only way not to raise suspicion. But we're leaving tonight. No, we can't. They'll be watching me now, every minute. Mother already suspects something. Then when? Eliza stepped closer, so close he could feel her breath. The night before the wedding. Our last chance. That's crazy. What if? Then I'll remain his wife forever, she whispered. Because after the wedding, there won't be any escape. Outside, Aaron's voice rang out. He was talking to father, laughing. The victor. Daniel clenched his fists. I won't let that happen. You don't have to let or not let anything. Just wait. 6 days. I'll give you a sign. What sign? You'll know. Trust me. She brushed his hand quickly so no one would see. I love you, she whispered so softly he barely heard. Then she walked out to Aaron, to her parents, to the life she wanted to run from. Daniel was left alone, feeling everything slip out of his control. The days that followed were hell. Daniel worked, ate, slept, but something was burning inside. Eliza avoided him. She spent all her time with her mother, preparing for the wedding. She sewed a dress, baked pies, welcomed friends who came with congratulations. Aaron came every day. He brought gifts, cloth, and tools for the future household. He was polite, proper, perfect. And Daniel hated him more each day. On the third day, Daniel couldn't stand it any longer. He waited until evening, when Eliza went to the well for water and walked to her. "We can't do this," he said quietly. "How else?" "Tell them now. Tell the truth." "And then what? They'll lock me in my room until the wedding, send me to relatives on the far side of the state. Then I'll kidnap you." She finally turned, a faint smile on her face. "You'll kidnap me? An Englishman will kidnap an Amish girl?" "If I have to, yes." The smile faded. Eliza glanced at the house, where candles glowed in the windows. "2 days," she said quietly. "The day after tomorrow, the community gathers for the pre-wedding supper. Everyone will be there. The house will be empty. At 10, go to the road. I'll come." "How?" "In Aaron's buggy. I'll say I need to pick something up in the next village." "They'll believe that." "They have to." Daniel wanted to say more, but Eliza's mother appeared in the doorway. Eliza quickly lifted the bucket and went inside. Mother looked at Daniel for a long, suspicious moment, then disappeared after her. That evening, Father came to Daniel in the barn. "After the wedding, you're leaving," he said without preamble. "I know. The month is up. You've shown you can work. But this isn't your life." "And if I want it to be?" Father looked at him, pain in his eyes. "Then you're a fool. But I can't stop you. I can only warn you if you take her. I lose my daughter forever. Are you ready to live with that?" Daniel didn't answer. Father turned to go, then stopped at the door. "She's like my sister, Ruth. She fell in love with an Englishman too. She wanted to leave too, 30 years ago." "What happened to her?" "She left. We never saw her again. We got letters the first few years. Then they stopped. I don't know if she's alive. I don't know if she's happy or if she regrets it. She's just gone, as if she never existed." He left Daniel standing there with a tight throat. The day before the wedding. The house filled with people. Women cooked. Men set up tables in the yard. Children ran everywhere. Eliza was at the center of it all, the bride, the star of the celebration. She smiled, thanked people for the gifts, looked happy. Only Daniel saw how her hands trembled when she carried plates. He saw how she sometimes froze, staring at nothing. He saw how she was saying goodbye to everything. Aaron stayed beside her constantly. He held her hand, smiling with pride. Once Daniel saw him kiss Eliza on the cheek. She didn't pull away, but her eyes were empty. Evening came, and the supper began. 100 people at the tables, food, laughter, songs. Daniel sat at the far end, away from everyone. He ate without appetite, watching the clock. 9, 9:30, 10 to 10. Eliza stood from the table. She said something to her mother, smiled, and walked toward the house. No one paid attention. The bride was allowed many things. Daniel waited 5 minutes. Then he rose too, saying he was tired. He went to the barn, grabbed his backpack, already packed, ready. He slipped out the back door, moving through the shadows. The road was empty. He waited, hiding behind the trees, peering into the dark. 10 minutes. 15. Where was she? Then he heard it, the drumming of hooves. A buggy rounded the bend. Eliza held the reins, her face pale in the moonlight. She stopped the horse, and Daniel stepped from the trees. "Go," she said, panic in her voice. He climbed into the buggy. Eliza snapped the reins, and the horse moved. At first slowly, then faster. The buggy rattled over ruts, but they didn't slow down. "Did anyone see you?" Daniel asked. "I don't know. Maybe." Jacob looked at me strangely. "Where to?" "The town. Is your car there?" "Yes." They rode in silence, listening for sounds behind them. Nothing yet, only the night, the road, the beat of hooves. About a kilometer from town, Eliza reined in. "Here, we'll walk. The buggy is too noticeable." They jumped down and hurried along the shoulder. Eliza kept glancing back. "They'll notice the buggy is gone," she said. "How long until then?" "An hour, maybe less." "That's enough." The town slept. They slipped through empty streets to the motel where Daniel had left the car. He opened the door. Eliza slid inside for the first time in her life in a car. "Buckle up," he said. "What?" He showed her how. Eliza did as he asked. Her hands were shaking. Daniel started the engine. The sound seemed too loud in the quiet night. "Ready?" Eliza looked back down the road that led to the community, to her home, to everything she knew. "Drive," she whispered. Daniel pressed the gas. The car moved, leaving the town behind. They drove in silence, only the hum of the engine and the road. Eliza sat still, staring out the window. Tears ran down her cheeks, and she didn't wipe them away. After 20 minutes, Daniel's phone rang. He glanced at the screen. An unknown number. "Don't answer," Eliza said. "It could be important." "It's them. They found a way to call. Don't answer." He didn't. The phone rang 3 more times, then fell silent. They drove for an hour. Then 2. Eliza finally fell asleep, her head against the glass. Daniel watched her from the corner of his eye, her face tired, dress rumpled, hair slipping out from under her cap. She looked broken, and he understood father had been right. He had taken her world from her, and he didn't know if he could give her a new one in return. When Eliza woke, it was 3 in the morning. They were on the highway, passing endless city lights. "Where are we?" she whispered. "About 100 miles from home." "Is that far?" "Far enough." She stared at the lights, eyes wide. "There are so many." "You'll see more." "I'm afraid." Daniel took her hand. "Me too, but we're together." She squeezed his fingers so hard it hurt. "Tell me it will all be okay." He couldn't. He wouldn't lie to her. He just kissed her hand and kept driving into the unknown. Behind them lay the community, the family, the wedding that would never happen. Ahead, the world she wasn't ready for. Between them, only love and the hope that it would be enough. Subscribe to our channel so you don't miss anything, because this is nothing compared to what's coming next. If you are under 18, don't even think about clicking next.